There was a guy in our office who reported everyone to HR and management for the smallest policy violations. Late to work by 3 minutes? Reported. Personal phone call during lunch? Reported. Forgot to fill out a form correctly? Reported. For months we couldn't figure out who was snitching, until I discovered it was my own teammate. So I started feeding him fake violations, made up policy breaches that didn't actually exist. He reported every single one. By the time HR figured out he was wasting their time with fabricated complaints, his credibility was destroyed. And his career? Right behind it. This is the story of how an office snitch learned that when you report everything, eventually you report nothing. My name's Chris, and I worked in the operations department at Meridian Financial Services, a mid-sized insurance company. Our department had about 15 people. A good team. Everyone got along. Standard office environment. About 8 months ago, we got a new team member. Let's call him Ryan. Ryan was 26, fresh out of a different company, eager to make a good impression. On his first day, Ryan made a point of introducing himself to everyone, including our manager Laura and the HR director. "I'm excited to be part of such a professional organization," he said. "I really value workplace excellence and maintaining high standards." At the time, I thought, great, he's enthusiastic. I had no idea what that actually meant. Ryan positioned himself as the model employee from day one. He arrived exactly on time every morning. Never late, never early. 8 a.m. sharp. He followed every policy to the letter. Every form filled out perfectly. Every process followed exactly as written in the handbook. He never took personal calls. Never checked his phone during work hours. Never left his desk except for scheduled breaks. He was too perfect. Almost robotic. But hey, different people have different work styles. If Ryan wanted to be ultra-professional, that was his business. Or so I thought. About 6 weeks after Ryan started, weird things began happening. My coworker Jennifer got called into HR. "We received a report that you've been using company email for personal correspondence," the HR director told her. Jennifer was confused. "I mean, I've sent maybe 2 personal emails in the last month. Like quick messages to my husband about picking up our kid." "That's still a violation of the acceptable use policy." "Okay, I didn't know it was that strict. I'll stop. Also, we have a report that you've been arriving late several times." "Late? I'm always here by 8:05. Company policy states work begins at 8 a.m. Jennifer left that meeting feeling paranoid and targeted. 2 weeks later, our coworker Tom got written up. His offense? Taking a 17-minute break instead of the policy-mandated 15 minutes. Someone had reported him, with timestamps. Tom came back to his desk furious. Who the hell is timing people's breaks? Nobody admitted to it. Over the next month, more incidents. Sarah got reported for excessive personal item displays. She had 3 family photos on her desk. Mike got reported for using company resources for non-work purposes. He printed 1 personal document. Elena got reported for violation of dress code. Her shirt had a small logo. I got reported for unauthorized software installation. I had installed a Chrome extension to block ads. Every violation was technically accurate according to the employee handbook, but they were all petty, minor things that nobody had enforced in years. Someone was reading the handbook like it was a law book and reporting everything they could find. But who? I figured it out by accident. I was in the break room getting coffee when Ryan walked in. He didn't see me. I was around the corner by the sink. Ryan pulled out his phone, and I heard him speaking quietly. "Hey, this is Ryan from operations. I have another policy concern to report." He was calling HR. "Yes, I noticed that Elena has been leaving early on Fridays. Policy states the workday ends at 5 p.m., but she's been leaving at 4:55. I stood there, frozen, listening to Ryan report our coworker for leaving 5 minutes early. When he hung up, he walked past me without realizing I'd heard everything. That's when I knew. Ryan was the snitch. I started paying attention to Ryan. Once you know what to look for, it becomes obvious. Ryan had a system. Morning. Arrive exactly at 8 a.m. Note who arrived after 8. Throughout the day, observe everyone's activities. Note anything that could be interpreted as a policy violation. Lunch breaks. Time how long people took. Note anyone who went over the 30-minute allotment. End of day. Note who left before 5 p.m. Evening, compile his notes and submit reports to HR or management. He was doing this every single day. And because every report was technically accurate, people did arrive at 8:02. People did take 32-minute lunches. HR had to address them. Even though everyone knew these were petty complaints, they were documented violations. It took me a while to understand Ryan's motivation. Then I overheard him talking to Laura, our manager. I just think it's important to maintain professional standards. A lot of people have gotten lax about policies, and I think that reflects poorly on the department. Laura looked uncomfortable. Ryan, while I appreciate your attention to detail, maybe focus on your own work rather than monitoring others. Say, I'm just trying to help improve the team's performance. That's when I understood. Ryan thought reporting people made him look good by comparison. He was building his reputation by tearing everyone else down. And it was working. Laura and HR saw Ryan as the professional, detail-oriented employee, while everyone else looked like policy violators. The office became tense. Everyone was paranoid. Everyone was looking over their shoulders, afraid to take an extra 2 minutes at lunch or arrive at 8:01 instead of 8 o'clock. Productivity dropped because people were stressed about being reported for tiny infractions. And Ryan? He just kept documenting, reporting, and positioning himself as the model employee. Someone needed to stop him. I spent a weekend thinking about how to handle this. Option 1. Confront Ryan directly. But he'd just deny it or claim he was maintaining standards. Option 2. Report him to HR. But for what? Being too observant? Following policies too carefully? Option 3. Get the whole team to confront him. But that could backfire and make us look like the bad guys. Then I had a better idea. Ryan's weakness was that he reported everything. He didn't verify. He didn't question. He just documented and reported. What if I fed him false information? Made him report violations that didn't exist or were based on misunderstandings? If HR realized Ryan was wasting their time with inaccurate reports, his credibility would be destroyed. And the beauty of it? I wouldn't be lying to HR. Ryan would be lying to HR. Unknowingly. My plan had 3 phases. Phase 1. Create situations that looked like policy violations, but weren't. Phase 2. Make sure Ryan witnessed these violations. Phase 3. Wait for him to report them. Then provide evidence showing he was wrong. The goal wasn't to get Ryan fired, though that would be a bonus. The goal was to make HR realize that Ryan's reports were unreliable and he was wasting everyone's time. Once his reports lost credibility, he'd lose his main weapon. Monday morning, I started implementing my plan. I made sure to have a loud conversation with Tom near Ryan's desk. Hey, Tom, I'm leaving at 3 p.m. today for a doctor's appointment. Oh, did you put in for time off? Nah, I'll just leave early. I don't think anyone will notice. I said this loud enough for Ryan to definitely hear. But what I didn't mention, and what Ryan didn't know, was that I'd actually submitted a half-day PTO request a week earlier. It was approved. I had documentation. Sure enough, that afternoon, at 3 p.m. I left. Ryan watched me go. The next day, I got called into HR. Chris, we received a report that you left work early yesterday without authorization. I pulled out my phone. I had a half-day PTO request approved last week. Here's the email confirmation. The HR director looked at the email. You're right. Who reported this? I have no idea. She made a note. Someone wasted our time with an inaccurate report. One strike against Ryan's credibility. A week later, I staged another situation. I had a loud phone conversation near Ryan's desk. Yeah, I'm taking a 30-minute break instead of 15. I'm exhausted. Nobody will care. I then left the building and stayed gone for 45 minutes. Ryan definitely noticed. I saw him checking his watch and making notes. But what Ryan didn't know, I'd actually had a meeting with a vendor that afternoon. It was work-related, scheduled, and approved by Laura. The next day, I got another HR call. We received a report that you took an unauthorized extended break yesterday. I was at a vendor meeting. Let me pull up the calendar invite and email thread. I showed them everything. The meeting was legitimate and work-related. HR looked annoyed. Another inaccurate report. This is becoming a problem. Strike 2. Third week, I upped the ante. I made sure Ryan could overhear me on a phone call at my desk. Hey babe, yeah, I can talk. Work's slow today. Yeah, let me look at houses online while we chat. I then pulled up what looked like real estate websites and talked for 20 minutes. Ryan was definitely listening and making notes, but the call wasn't personal. It was actually with our IT contractor discussing website hosting. I'd briefed him in advance to play along. And the real estate websites were actually website mock-ups for a client project. HR called me in the next day. Chris, someone reported you were making personal calls and browsing real estate sites during work hours. I smiled. I was on a call with our IT contractor about website hosting. Here's the email trail setting up the call. And the websites I was looking at were client project mock-ups. Want to see the project files? The HR director looked frustrated. Who keeps submitting these false reports? I wish I knew. Strike 3. Ryan had no idea he was being set up. He just kept reporting what he thought were violations. Once I'd proven my method worked, I brought in other team members. I explained what I'd figured out and what I was doing. Ryan is the one reporting everyone, and I've been feeding him fake violations that make him look incompetent. Want to help? They absolutely did. We coordinated. Jennifer staged a conversation about taking a sick day when she wasn't really sick. She actually had a legitimate medical appointment with documentation. Tom talked loudly about padding his expense report. He was actually discussing legitimate expenses he'd forgotten to submit. Sarah made it look like she was leaving with company property. She was actually taking home her own laptop that looked similar to company laptops. Mike discussed deleting emails to hide something. He was actually archiving old emails per IT policy. Each person made sure Ryan witnessed what looked like a policy violation. Each person had complete documentation proving the violation was either legitimate or a misunderstanding. Ryan reported every single one. After 2 weeks of this, HR called a meeting with Laura, our manager. I only know this because Laura told me afterwards. HR is frustrated, Laura said. They've received 27 policy violation reports in the last 3 months. Most of them have turned out to be inaccurate or exaggerated. They're spending hours investigating reports that go nowhere. That's a lot of reports, I said, innocently. They think someone is abusing the reporting system. Either filing malicious false reports or reporting things without verifying facts first. That does seem like a problem. HR is going to investigate who's been submitting all these reports. Perfect. The investigation didn't take long. HR reviewed all the reports from the past 3 months. They noticed a pattern. All reports came from the same person, Ryan. Many reports were technically accurate, but trivial. 2 to 3 minutes late, 32-minute lunch instead of 30. Recent reports were increasingly inaccurate, or based on misunderstandings. The volume of reports was excessive, 27 in 3 months. HR called Ryan in. I don't know exactly what was said in that meeting, but Tom saw Ryan come out looking pale and shaken. That afternoon, Laura called a team meeting. Ryan wasn't included. I want to address something that's been affecting team morale, Laura said. Some of you may have noticed an increase in policy-related discussions with HR. Everyone nodded. HR has determined that someone was over-reporting minor policy violations, creating an unnecessarily hostile work environment. That person has been counseled, and the behavior will stop. Who was it? Tom asked, though we all knew. I can't disclose that. But I want to be clear. our department's approach to policy is reasonable enforcement, not strict letter of the law compliance. If you're 5 minutes late occasionally, that's fine. If you take a 32-minute lunch, that's fine. We're all adults. Sarah raised her hand. What if someone continues to report petty stuff? That would be considered harassment and would result in disciplinary action. Message received. Ryan was on thin ice. After that meeting, Ryan changed. He stopped taking notes on people. He stopped timing lunches. He kept his head down and focused on his own work. But the damage was done. The team knew he'd been the snitch. Nobody trusted him. Nobody collaborated with him. Nobody invited him to lunch or after-work activities. He'd isolated himself completely. And professionally, his reports were now seen as unreliable. HR didn't trust his judgment. Laura questioned his priorities. The model employee reputation he built by reporting others had collapsed. 3 months later, Ryan resigned. No drama, no explanation. He just gave 2 weeks' notice and left. I heard through the grapevine that he struggled in his exit interviews. HR asked why he was leaving, and he couldn't give a good answer without admitting the team had turned against him. Laura told me later that HR had recommended she consider whether Ryan was a good fit for the team, given his approach to workplace relationships. Translation: they wanted him gone, and they made that clear. That was 4 months ago. Ryan's gone. The office is back to normal. People arrive at 8:02 without fear. People take 32-minute lunches without looking over their shoulders. People make quick personal calls without paranoia. The hostile, surveillance-like atmosphere is gone. And me? I learned something valuable about dealing with office politics. The interesting thing about this whole situation is that Ryan probably never understood what happened. He thought he was being a model employee. He thought reporting violations made him look good. He didn't realize that his reports were creating a hostile work environment. HR was getting frustrated with his excessive reporting. The team was actively working to undermine him. His credibility was being destroyed systematically. By the time he figured out something was wrong, it was too late. His reputation was shot, and there was no recovery from it. Sometimes people ask me if I felt bad about setting Ryan up. The answer is no. Ryan made a choice to monitor everyone, report petty violations, and create a paranoid work environment. He thought he could build his career by tearing others down. All I did was show him the consequences of that strategy. If you're going to report everything, you'd better make sure you're right every time. Because the moment you're wrong, and you report something inaccurate or taken out of context, your credibility is gone. And without credibility, your reports are worthless. So that's my story. The office snitch who reported everyone learned that when you report everything, eventually, people stop taking you seriously. If you enjoyed this malicious compliance story, hit that subscribe button. I post new workplace revenge and karma stories every single day. Drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with an office snitch? How did you handle it? I want to hear your stories. And smash that notification bell so you never miss a satisfying revenge tale. Thanks for watching. And remember, if someone's watching you for violations, make sure you're documenting your innocence. Because the truth always wins in the end.